Going on, combat sports fans? Welcome to Joe's Commentary and Predictions. If you're new to the channel, you have a passion for combat sports and you love it in a variety of ways, punch that subscribe button into submission down below. Now we have Luke Rockhold versus Fabricio Werdum, possibly last night at UFC. Tonight, Luke Rockhold called out Fabricio Werdum. He said he wants to fight him in a heavyweight fight that takes huge balls and cojones from Luke Rockhold. And, so Big Dog Jimmy's like, he can't believe it that he called out Werdum of all people. That guy is a ninja in the octagon, man. And Luke Rockhold is a badass. I mean, he got knocked out by Michael Bisping, but before that, he was taking dudes left and right in very epic fashion. Somebody I'd like to see him fight someday is Jacare Souza, but I do want to see him get a rematch against Michael Bisping before Bisping retires, but this would be epic, and especially a UFC 213 is targeted for July 8th, I think it is. Let me just double check and look at the calendar to make sure that I have my date correct. July 8th is what I am expecting UFC 213 to happen on that Saturday night, and there'll be two events before that on the 7th and 6th of July is what it's looking like, and I'm predicting that we're going to see Bisping versus St. Pierre in the middleweight championship on the line in the main event of that. But wouldn't it be epic if we have Werdum versus Rockhold on that same event? That would be a huge blockbuster mega fight, and it would be a huge money fight, a dream fight, a fight that I never thought we could see happen, because Rockhold fights in the middleweight division at 185, but this must mean that he walks around somewhere between 215 and 230 possibly, where some guys, they cut a lot of weight, like during the camp they cut weight over a 3-month period, and then they drop somewhere between 20 to somewhere between 30 to 15 pounds generally, I guess, from what it sounds like most fighters do before fighting. Some guys only drop 10 pounds, some guys drop 5, some don't at all. So how epic would it be if Rockhold weighs like 220 and he fights Werdum, who weighs around 265, somewhere in that range. Let me look and see what it says. They believe Werdum is weighing around 231 actually. So that wouldn't actually be that far off, and Luke Rockhold is actually only 1 inch shorter than Werdum, where he is a height, I can't even see, 6'3" for Luke Rockhold, and then Werdum, to my understanding, he's 6'4". So there's only 1 inch weight, a 1 inch height differential between the two. But what's the reach differential between them? That is something I have to look into. But it would be huge. I would fucking love it. This could be a main event for a fight night for maybe like the Fight Pass, even possibly on July 6th. That would be epic, like a Fight Pass, main event of Rockhold versus Werdum. How big of numbers would that do? I think that would outdo Bisping versus Silva, you know what I mean? Because this is a dream fight, without a doubt. Let me know down below your thoughts and opinions on it. Do you want to see them fight or not? I personally do. If you think it would be an awesome idea for Werdum versus Rockhold, slap that like button, because Velasquez wants to fight Werdum, but he keeps having these lingering injuries and so forth, and Rockhold, DC, and Velasquez train together, and Rockhold has beef with Werdum and whatnot, from what he said at UFC tonight on July 22nd March 22nd 2017. I'm getting ahead of myself. So now let's get into some information on these two fighters. So with Rockhold, he is a former middleweight champion, and Werdum is a former heavyweight champion. Rockhold has got 15 wins, 3 losses. Werdum has got 21 wins and 6 losses. And the way that Werdum has lost 2 times by KO TKO, 4 times he's lost by way of the judges' decision, 4 times Werdum has lost by way of the decision. He's won 5 times by decision. It says here he's won 6 times by KO TKO and 10 times by submission. I'm not 100% sure if SureDog has that correct, because sometimes, they have a submission by punches, submission, and then by way of punches, and it's like, that's actually a TKO, but the source that gave it to him, so... for Werdum, his 10 submissions actually an armbar, 3 triangle armbars, 2 guillotine chokes, an arm triangle, a triangle choke, a Kimura, and a rear naked choke, and 6 knockouts. For Luke Rockhold, how does he have his wins? 4 of them by KO TKO, 9 by submission, 2 by decision. He's only lost by way of KO TKO, and that's happened 3 times. He's never been submitted, never lost by the judge's decision. So if it goes to the decision, it's usually in his favor, and he's never been submitted. Nobody's ever submitted Rockhold. Could Werdum be the first man to submit Luke Rockhold if they fight? And when they fight, this fight has to happen. Like the UFC WME -ing or something like that, they would be leaving a ton of money on the table if they don't put this fight together. If they don't make this, they gotta get a contract and get these 2 men to sign an agreement for UFC 213 or July 6th UFC main event. I believe one of the 2 events is going to be on Fight Pass and the other one will be on FS1, and then the next one's going to be pay-per-view. So this has got me like, I'm like, this is huge, because the dudes who have beat him are Tony Rubalakva. I never seen that one. That was at Melee on the Mountain. That was a TK in the first round. Victor Belfort with that spinning heel kick in the first round. Beat him in the UFC on Fox 8, and then we all know Michael Bisping the Count in the rematch. He ended up knocking out Rockhold, getting a KO in the first round. So if you don't defeat Rockhold in the first round by KO TKO, you're gonna lose from what the odds say. And then so could Werdum be the first man to take him down to the ground and submit him on the ground, or will Rockhold end up reversing it and submitting Fabricio Werdum? But what history tells us is that Werdum's never been submitted. No one's submitted him ever. He's been KO'd by Stipe Miocic in the first round with a KO that was epic, and that was when he lost the heavyweight title to Stipe at UFC 198. And then the other time he lost, before that, back in 2011 at Strikeforce, he never lost in the UFC until he fought Stipe and he got knocked out. Overeem beat him by a 3-round unanimous decision. Junior Dos Santos with a TKO. Oh wait, that was weird because he took a break from the UFC and went from UFC to Strikeforce and then back to UFC. I don't know what I was thinking. Junior Dos Santos at UFC 90 TKO'd Werdum in the first round. Arlovsky has a unanimous decision over him, and Big Nog has a unanimous decision win over him as well. And then Sergey Karkarnov got a split decision win over him, and there's a draw actually as well with Werdum. So this has the potential to go 3 rounds. It could go 5 rounds. I want to see these 2 actually get a main event in a 5-round fight. Or if it's on UFC 213 on the pay-per-view, give them 5 rounds, please. Because to really see what an awesome fight this would be, I think we would need 5 rounds. 5 rounds for Werdum and Rockhold. 3 rounds will not do it justice for these 2 men, for what the fans would desire. The fans would want what I want. I know me and Big Dog Jimmy are calling for Rockhold and Werdum to get 5 rounds. We'd like to see him in a main event or on the UFC 213 pay-per-view. I know Werdum was initially scheduled for UFC 211 in Dallas, coming up here in May, but Cain Velasquez is out, and right now, SureDog has him on UFC 211's, their page for UFC 211 with Unknown Fighter. Could that be Rockhold? Could they be fighting at UFC 211? I think Rockhold will need more time for a camp from, March 23rd to May. I forget what date in May, but it's sometime in May. I think you need a little more than 2 months to train for Werdum, but he could be been training for him ever since he got his, all his injuries and whatnot set aside and taken care of. But I think this would be huge. This would be blockbuster. Like, this would be gigantic. You know what I mean? And then if you have Bisping versus St. Pierre in the main event, UFC 213. But the other fight that we could end up seeing, at the end of the video, make sure to check out the other suggested video over there at the end of the video, where I talk about Cyborg versus Jermaine Diramadine. I believe that could be possibly a main event in UFC 213 if Bisping and St. Pierre are not main eventing that, and they have main event UFC 214. That it should be Cyborg and Diramadine main eventing UFC 213. So there's a possibility. There's two different fights. I really feel that we could see main event UFC 213 on International Fight Week. But so I'm gonna end up doing a this was my full fight video breakdown promo to promote the video why I think that we should see this fight and a breakdown on why, and we know neither of them have been submitted and so forth. And I really think that this would be a spectacular fight and it would be awesome. Now, you'd have to, Rockhold's never fought at a heavyweight, so you would pretty much have to figure that Werdum would win this. But anything can happen in the cage inside of the octagon. You never know in combat sports when two men go toe-to-toe, even if one's jumping up weight or going down weight, what can happen. As we've seen Kevin Gastelum, he's gone from the welterweight back to the middleweight where he belongs, and he's been tearing through the division, and he's going to keep on, I think, trolling through everybody. But we'll see. What time will tell what happens with Calvin Gastelum. But with this, man, somebody will be getting submitted. I don't think either of them will get knocked out. I think Rockhold can hit pretty hard, and so can Werdum. But I think it would end up going to the ground quite often, and we could see a lot of reversals. I know with Werdum being the bigger man, as you would figure, since he's fought a heavyweight, that he would be able to submit Rockhold the first time he gets him to the ground. But I think we will be shocked and surprised, and Rockhold will submit Werdum in the 4th round of the fight, is what I believe will happen. That it will be a clash and go back and forth, and then if we get a 5-round fight in the 4th round, that Rockhold will end up getting Werdum, kind of like how Rockhold defeated Weidman, except for it won't be a TKO, it'll be a submission. Is when he beat Weidman. From what I recall, it was a TKO knockout, and I think that Werdum would end up getting tired out, going all hardcore for 3 rounds, and then in the 4th round, I know he's got a hell of a gas tank, but I think with how smaller Rockhold is and how he's used to moving around quicker, that could cause problems for Werdum. But I would predict that we would see Werdum run across the ring like he did to Travis Brownie and do a jump kick to the face of Rockhold, but Rockhold will move out the way and punch him in the face. Big Dog Jimmy thinks I'm crazy. He thinks Werdum would end up submitting Rockhold in the 1st round, easy peasy, he says, So we'll see, time will tell. Big Dog Jimmy is a huge fan of Werdum. I like Werdum too. Werdum's a fucking man. He beat friggin' Fedor, and he submitted all kinds of dudes and knocked out dudes and whatnot, and he's been a hell of a beast. And when he knocked out Mark Hunt with that knee to the head, that was vicious, man. So, and then Rockhold, he's a badass dude. I'm a fan of his. And then with the TKO of Weidman, how he submitted, Lyoto Machida, how he was the first guy to ever submit Michael Bisping when they fought the first time, how he submitted Tim Bush with that Kimura, that was epic. And he's got so many other phenomenal finishes, and then how he beat Jacare by decision when they fought back in Strikeforce is insane. There's very few people on this planet who have beaten Jacare, and I think it would be awesome to see Werdum versus Rockhold. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you think it would be an epic and awesome battle between these two inside of the octagon? If you think it would be awesome to see these two fight at UFC 213 or during International Fight Week, slap the like button, leave me a comment down below with your thoughts and opinions about anything and everything I said, and make sure to punch that subscribe button into submission over there. My new channel, link to that is right there if you want to peep that out, and make sure to peep out the other videos over there as well. If they look interesting, share them with your family and friends, and tell them to support the channel by punching that subscribe button into submission. Combat sports is awesome, and you guys are amazing. Thanks for watching.